Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Warning, volatility incoming. In fact, by the time you're watching this, there's a reasonable chance that something has already happened because as I record this video, it's already 12:38 p.m. Central Time, which is my time zone, here in the good old Midwest of the United States. And you know what's happening today, right? Well, today is the second day of the FOMC meeting. It will conclude today, well, presumably already has, and then you have the press conference that Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be speaking at starting in less than an hour from now. It's supposed to start at 1:30 p.m. Central Time, so 2:30 Eastern. And by the time I get this recorded with a thumbnail and uploaded, we're either going to be really close to that or after that. And right around that time, I mean, look, realistically, on every single FOMC day, you're going to see some amount of volatility, so I don't feel like I'm some sort of wise sage citing that. But depending on what happens at this meeting, you could see some serious volatility. Yeah, potentially to the negative, but if, not that I'm predicting that, but if we get the right series of things stated by Jerome Powell in this meeting, you actually could see the market take off. And by the way, it's not uncommon to see pullbacks right after the press conference with Jerome Powell. Not uncommon to see pullbacks, but then ultimately that in very short order lead to something higher. So even if by the time you're watching this video, the market's taking a little bit of a dip, if it's not based on horrendous news, it's probably going to be some sort of fake out and then just resume to the upside. That stuff happens. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, XRP is now $3.03. Bitcoin's at $115,875. And this is not how tops form. There, look at this post shared by chart analyst Crypto Insight UK, sharing the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 53 out of 100, indicating that the market is feeling neutral. And he wrote literally that. This isn't how tops feel. That's correct. Because at the peak of market cycles, you have pure mania, pure euphoria. And if you are one of the level-headed individuals who points out, guys, things are overheated historically, this is when you should be most fearful, people will be screaming at you that you're an idiot, that you're wrong, that you don't know what you're talking about, but they will learn painfully that you're actually correct. You know, markets do find tops, just like they find bottoms. Markets find tops. We are not there. So don't be fearful, even if there's short-term negative price action by the time you're watching this. Ain't going to change anything big picture. Here's a post from the blockchain backer, just from this morning, 11:04 a.m. Central Time. And the chart on your screen here is the Russell 2000, so it's small cap stocks. And he says Russell 2000 is plus 43% from the April lows and 1.4% away from the 2021 all-time high, while total 2 is 3% away from 2021 all-time high. These two are the measures of whether expansion is happening or not. Right at the highs, as we head into the Fed rate cut, talk about tents. Oh, that's right. That's why I wanted to pop this video out, get this recorded before anything happens, and I can check in with you guys later today. But there's a chance we're going to be seeing some serious fireworks here. And so the reason he's saying what he's saying, well, a couple things here, make sure everybody knows what Total 2 is. Total 2 is the name of the chart that tracks the top 125 coins by market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So it gives you a good, great picture, the picture to look at in terms of altcoin performance. And he's saying that's 3% away from all-time high. So perfectly primed to surge through. Perfectly primed. By the way, it did hit the all-time high the other day, actually. So right now it's just sitting very close to it. And then the Russell 2000 small cap stocks. The reason that it's worth looking at these two is because if you want that crazy alt season, it's just a matter-of-fact statement. We've never had it without the Russell 2000 also participating. And it makes sense because as people have an increased appetite for risk, of course they'll go. Because the further you go out the risk curve, what are you buying? That means you're buying smaller cap stocks and smaller cap cryptos. And so alts, they're basically all alts are considered very risky. They pretty much are. And so you can, that's why you get the similar behavior in pretty much all alts. That's why it moves in unison with the Russell 2000, which is small caps. But you get way more upside in crypto compared to stocks with the Russell 2000. But just in terms of direction, yes, they do move at the same time. That's why he's tracking this. And so you can see here is the Total 2 chart. Very close, obviously. And then here is a chart showing a bunch of things. On this chart, we've got the NASDAQ 100, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, RTY, that is the Russell 2000, and then Total 3. Now, Total 3 is the top 125 coins by market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the rest of the altcoins, XRP is in there. And you can see everything's taken off, everything that I just cited, except for altcoins and the Russell 2000. That's where the real opportunity is for the remainder of this market cycle. That's it right there. And we're teetering on the edge right here. Is this going to go? Is it going to break down? Well, I still believe that the best is yet to come, frankly. I do believe that that's coming. And in fact, to highlight that, I got a couple things to show you, actually. Take a look at this, shared by Coin Bureau. Alert, $2 billion in stablecoins just poured into Binance right before the FOMC. Well, that's peculiar timing, isn't it? I would say so. Think about this. Just before the FOMC meeting, and again, the press conference, it starts in 46 minutes. It's now 12:44 p.m. Central Time. Just before the FOMC meeting, about $2 billion worth of stablecoins poured into Binance. This is a massive inflow, one of the biggest we've seen all year. And it matters because stablecoins on exchanges are basically buying power waiting to be deployed. When that kind of money hits an exchange, it usually means large players, whales or institutions, are getting ready to act. And the timing is no coincidence. Everyone's watching the Fed right now. And if we get a dovish signal or a rate cut, that fresh capital is perfectly positioned to chase risk assets higher. In the short term, this sets the stage for big volatility, but historically, inflows of this size tend to precede bullish momentum because, well, it shows confidence and readiness to buy. And for crypto, especially XRP, this backdrop is very constructive. Liquidity drives markets, and with billions in stablecoins on standby, any positive macro news could be the spark that accelerates the next major move. That's why all of this matters. So it's already baked into the price, this 25 basis point cut, which is almost certainly going to happen. Small probability it's 50 basis points. But I think if you get some additional positive news, that would be the spark that lights the fire. Not so much the 25 basis points. Again, that's already expected. Everybody and their grandma knows at least that's going to happen. It would be a shock if we didn't see at least that in terms of rate cut. It's a question of, will there be additional messaging? And that's why there's no way I could possibly predict by the time you're watching this whether the market's way up, way down, because I don't know what he's going to say. And the truth is nobody knows. If somebody has a ridiculous high level of confidence, be a little skeptical of that. Flip a coin, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. I'm just saying, since we don't know for sure what's going to be stated by Jerome Powell, what's going to happen in terms of the potential rate cut for October and for December, if you don't know, then how can you reasonably be that confident, especially given that you've got to assume that if it's just the 25 basis point, the market, we already know that part. If anything, the market might be just disappointed by that. You could see a drop if it's just that, And here's a post from chart analyst Bobby A. He shared this post this morning, 6:34 a.m. He said, morning pre-FOMC thoughts. I don't need the FOMC meeting to confirm what I see in the higher time frame charts. Markets are beautifully positioned for higher prices despite any short-term noise and fluctuations following the FOMC meeting. Remember that market sentiment and psychology drive the markets more than anything else. When sentiment is low, yet Bitcoin is trading well above $100,000, with Bitcoin dominance declining, the stock market experiencing price discovery, and the total, so total 2, total 3, positioned as they are, that's all I need to see. Bears are often too focused on lower time frames, meaning the short term, trading based on emotion or impatience. Many will miss the forest for the trees again. And he is spot on. Now, I like to track this stuff because it's fun. I like getting into the minutia of it, the nitty gritty. Once you got skin in the game, as I sure as hell do, and I know you guys do too, it's fun to track this stuff. But it's certainly true, and you can take comfort in this, especially if the market happens to go down for some period of time in the short term. Doesn't matter. This market cycle is going to find a peak at some point, but today isn't it. Today is not it. It's going to rally way higher before this thing ultimately finds a top. Here's a post from Charting Guy. He says, I can see he was asked here, would be funny if they did cut 50, so 50 basis points, 0.5%. Can't see it, to be honest, but would be good for crypto. I don't agree with that, and neither does Charting Guy. He says a 50 basis point cut would shock the treasury/bond market and in turn shock the stock and crypto markets. It isn't expected and is very, very unlikely. Any surprises would be bearish. The market hates surprises. Yeah, I think the market would have a knee-jerk reaction to the negative right there. If that happened, we'd see how long that would last. But markets hate surprises. They're not expecting that. And then they would be wondering while they're figuring this stuff out, running around like chickens with their heads cut off, just how wrong does the Fed think they've been behaving in recent months? Markets don't like that. So no, I don't think in terms of market response initially, I don't think that would be good. I think the 25 basis point cut today, in conjunction with some additional news that you're going to get some more for the remainder of the year, that could be some of the fuel that we're looking for to get things going. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom, and he says pre-FOMC XRP order book, and this is from 8:37 a.m. this morning. He says if we get bad news / only rate cuts and nothing else, expect XRP to potentially go down to the $2.80 zone to sweep the liquidity from there. If we get good news in green candles, expect XRP to find resistance at the $3.20 to $3.30 zone. So there's an idea in the short term of what you might be able to expect depending on whether or not the market responds negatively or positively to whatever the hell Jerome Powell is about to say in 41 minutes from now. We'll see here. Here's chart analyst Ali Martinez. It says XRP could find support around $2.78. So he's saying, obviously, if the market goes down, here's what it would look like for XRP. That's a very similar range to what chart analyst Zoom was talking about. So don't know if it's going to happen. It's a possibility. Here's a post from Chart Nerd, and he says, XRP, and this is from yesterday, by the way. XRP looks to be rinse-repeating super trend structure that was similar to breaking out from $2 up to $3.60 back in July. All we need here is a bullish trend flip. A similar markup would place XRP at $5. Patiently waiting. And so he still thinks that's in the cards, frankly, regardless of what happens here. Here's a post from CW. He says, ETH, XRP... Oh, by the way, this is from this morning, 5:17 a.m. ETH, XRP, and Solana are reaching their all-time highs. A break through the all-time highs signals the start of a real rally. It's about to get underway. So they're all those coins, including XRP, perfectly positioned. Do you see how primed the market is, including XRP? All these things, all these charts just happen to be sitting at very key levels. They just happen to be right at this intense moment where Jerome Powell's going to say some words out of his stupid little face hole and then things happen. I mean, something's going to happen, folks. Something's coming. Here's another post from CW. And this is from yesterday. But he said that his prediction for XRP's top is $21.50. And so, folks, whatever happens today, it's still coming on the higher time frame, meaning big picture. It's not going to change a damn thing. The best is yet ahead. And then there was this post from Crypto Wizard. He wrote in part, XRP closed slightly bullish, and this was last night. He said further upside is possible tomorrow if Bitcoin pushes upside from the FOMC event. Exactly. So he is correct about that. All eyes on that, sitting here waiting. You guys are future people, so maybe you know a little bit more. But if you're wondering why the market might be doing what it's doing, just thought I'd put this out there. So if it's down by the time you're watching this, I hope this was a little bit of comfort. But either way, we are going so much higher before we find a peak. And then, yes, we will finally plummet into the abyss and everything's over. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say, all right? That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.